Hello to all of you from the new part of the daily map report prepared by the Pioneer team. In a moment, we will analyze the latest developments in the war between the Ukrainian army and the Russian army with the map. According to the latest reports, the Ukrainian army continued its counter-offensive operations in 4 parts of the front line. As we mentioned in our previous reports, the Dragon's Teeth have been overcome on the Zaporizhia front line. In recent days, we see that the Ukrainian army has increased its pressure on the Zaporizhia front line, especially in the direction of Novoprokopivka and Verbove. The Ukrainian army has put a great pressure. Thanks to this pressure, Ukrainian armored vehicles managed to get behind the Dragon's Teeth. Will the Russian troops be able to push Ukrainian troops back? Let's look at the answer to this question together. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our reports on the Russia-Ukraine war as the Pioneer. I also read all the comments. Please express your opinion about our content in the comments. Let's get started if you're ready. The Pioneer reports. Let's start our report with the latest situation on the Zaporizhia front line. First of all, let's take a look at the Verbove area. As we mentioned in our previous report, the Ukrainian army has increased its effectiveness in the area between Verbove and Novoprokopivka. So we saw that there are Ukrainian troops a short distance from the center of Verbove. Here, the Dragon's Teeth were become by Ukrainian troops. Both Ukrainian infantry and Ukrainian armored vehicles have now entered the Dragon's Teeth east of Verbove. This will increase the pressure of the Ukrainian army in the direction of Verbove. On the other hand, the offensive of the Ukrainian army continues in direction of Novoprokopivka. Before commenting on this latest situation in the region, let's look at the latest territorial changes with a timeline. As you can see on the map, Russian troops have retreated a little more in the last few days. Ukrainian troops seems to be very close to entering the center of Novoprokopivka. According to the latest reports, the Ukrainian army is about 800 meters away from the center of Novoprokopivka. There are fierce clashes between Russian and Ukrainian troops on the northern outskirts of the village. According to local sources, the losses of the Russian army are increasing. If the Ukrainian army can capture Novoprokopivka, there will be a clarity in Verbove. As you can see on the map, Ukrainian troops can open a new front in the direction of Verbove by capturing Novoprokopivka. Thanks to this front, Russian troops will be surrendered from behind. The ledge created by the Ukrainian army here is very important, but I must emphasize this. In my opinion, the Ukrainian army should unite the captured areas on the Zaporizhia front line. The unifications of the areas captured by the Ukrainian army on both Verbove and Wohldar lines will be very important for the future of the war. The struggle continues here. What will determine the outcome will be both the attack capacity of the Ukrainian army and the defense capacity of the Russian army. According to the latest reports, the offensive capacity of the Ukrainian army remains in place. We can say that the Russian troops have been considerably weakened and their capacity has decreased. Now I would like to continue our report with the Wohldar section of the Zaporizhia front line. As you know, the Ukrainian armed forces have a clear superiority here. Despite all their efforts, the Russian army could not protect Zaporizhia and Ukraine in this area. Subsequently, Ukrainian troops made critical gains in the direction of Novoprokopivka and Novodonetsk, located east of Zaporizhia. At this point, Russian troops are endeavoring to retake these gains made by the Ukrainian troops. According to reports from local sources, the Ukrainian army made a tactical retreat. However, there is no report confirming this information so far. According to the latest reports, there are fights between the artillery units of the two armies in this region. Russian artillery shelled the Ukrainian positions in Novodonetsk, Zaporizhia, Ukraine, and Perchistovka and Wohldar. Ukrainian artillery responded by shelling Russian positions in Prirodny, Zaporizhia, Malinka, Kremenchuk, Novodonetsk, and Novoprokopivka. Let's continue with the Donetsk front line. The traditional Marinka offensive of the Russian army continued today. Russian troops continued their attacks in the direction of Marinka. However, there is no progress. Ukrainian defense forces in the region managed to repel the attacks of the Russian army. It seems that a new front is opening here. It seems that the Russian army started to use the strategy of the Ukrainian army. Let us remind the strategy of the Ukrainian army. First, the Ukrainian army would attack an area for a while. Then, some Ukrainian units expanded the front and dispersed the focus of the Russian army. Meanwhile, the main Ukrainian units went on the offensive, attacking and capturing the dispersed positions of the Russian army. Due to the Russian army's constant attacks on Marinka, a habit was formed here. Perhaps the Russian war leadership also made this attack as part of the strategy. Ukrainian troops were also focused in this area. Russian troops attacked further north in the direction of Horlivka with artillery support. However, Russian troops failed to achieve this result with this strategy. The main reason for this was the incorrect application of this strategy by the Russian troops. Ukrainian troops were attacking with infantry units while applying this strategy. Russian troops, on the other hand, attacked with artillery units. Therefore, the advancing efforts started later. The Ukrainian troops thus gained time and managed to repel the Russian troops. We are also witnessing artillery duel on the Donetsk front line. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery struck Ukrainian positions in Karnohorivka, New York, and Donetsk. Ukrainian artillery hit Russian positions in Horlivka and Shromoyarlivka. I would like to continue with the Bakhmut front line. As you know, the Ukrainian army captured Klishchivka and Andriivka, south of Bakhmut city center. According to the latest reports, Ukrainian troops are trying to advance east of Andriivka. Russian troops, meanwhile, launched an offensive in the direction of Klishchivka and tried to encircle Ukrainian troops. However, both armies failed to make any gains. The dominance of the Ukrainian army in the region is very important, and it is a major threat to the future of the Russian army in Bakhmut. The Russian army is also aware of this threat. Therefore, Russian troops are endeavoring to eliminate this threat. So far, there is no data showing that Russian troops have been able to eliminate or can eliminate this threat. However, I think that the Ukrainian army should accelerate the construction of defensive fortifications in this region. If the Ukrainian army completes the construction of defensive fortifications quickly, it can put greater pressure on the Russian army. Let's briefly touch on Luhansk front. In the Novoprokopivka, Russian troops attacked to establish dominance, but Ukrainian troops responded violently to these attacks. The situation in the region is uncertain for the moment. What do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian army will continue to advance on the Zaporizhia front line? What do you think about the gains of the Ukrainian army? Do you think they are enough to win the war? Let me know in the comments. I'm reading and caring about all your comments.